Hey Dom,
You-
ready for another one?
Oh, you know I am always. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Yeah, I think it's pretty apparent from the look behind me
Yep,
and behind you.
yep,
Uh,
yep. So today's video is about the 2002 movie Pool Hall Junkies. And it's funny because normally we've done a lot of horror, we've done some comedy. I know how to classify these things. I almost want to call this a sports movie.
yeah, I want to call it a con man movie, but yeah,
But so anyway,
yeah,
as the name would imply, it's about the main character is an expert at pool. He's been trained as a pool hustler,
right,
and there are some negative connotations. His girlfriend, fiance, I forget which,
yeah,
doesn't
fiance,
doesn't want him to be a hustler, so she's trying to get him to leave, but he gets he keeps getting drawn back in.
yeah, yeah. They keep pulling me back in. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah,
And then it comes down to that one crucial game at the end
yeah.
where it's the climax where all attention is. So
Well, and I have to say before we even get going, because this was my pick. This is my weekly pick, and I picked this for a number of reasons. One, I really truly love the movie, and the other is my friends Erica and Will, Erica in particular. We had a night. I got to tell this little story, but we had a night where we had a barbecue at their place in Elliott at the time, and really good barbecue, and there might have been a lot of beer going on. I mean, a lot of beer drinking, and we it got pretty late. We put on a couple of movies, and I think we had watched Boondock Saints, which is a personal
great
favorite of
movie.
mine, and it's and they I found out they really liked the movie, and I was like, cool. We both like, we all of us like Boondock Saints. So we watched that, and then somehow or other, in our drunken revelry of watching movies and having fun, um, the subject of Erica, I think, is the one that brought it up, Pool Hall Junkies, and how it was a personal favorite of hers. And I said, I know the name, but I've never seen the movie. And it's that typical thing you get sometimes where someone goes, "You've never seen," and in this case, it was Pool Hall Junkies. And I was like, no. And, as many movies as both of us have seen, you never have seen all the movies. And people are often surprised sometimes when I say, "Oh, no, I haven't seen that one." I've seen so many movies, and
I had never even heard of this movie.
yes, but they immediately, it was like, you have to see this movie, and they put the movie on, and I immediately was like, yes, I love the movie, and it's a great movie. It has a great cast, terrific plot, the whole bit, and again, like, I know you said that you didn't think of this as much of a as a con man movie, but I do, because, or you were talking about Pool, but Pool is a hustler is conning people. He's conning people into the idea that he isn't good at playing pool, so that the bets increase, and he'll lose games, and then he wins games, and he loses games, and then he finally hits the big one, and he takes the money away from them. So it is a con, but it's maybe a lesser con.
We'll
But
agree to disagree.
okay, but I definitely foresee that. I mean, the whole thing at the end was,
I gotta say, this is not has nothing to do with the movie.
yeah,
If someone is in an average pool hall and they pretend they don't know what they're doing and
yeah,
catch some guy that also has no idea what they're doing,
yeah.
but wants to like is convinced they can win, then that's the
There's
con.
a ton of people like that in
That,
every
that
pool.
that's a
Yeah,
con. What
yeah.
we're seeing in this movie are people that really freaking know how to play pool.
Oh yeah. Yes. But
No
but
one's being fooled.
but there's it's like a lot of things. There's levels of how good you are, and which
Totally.
the idea is you've got to be better than that guy that thinks he's really good at playing pool. I know that I'm really bad at pool. Really enjoy pool.
Same
I
here.
Yeah, But I am terrible at pool. If you get stuck with me as your partner in in 4-man play, you've got a bad partner, because I'm going to miss the shots, or at least I'm going to miss the crucial shots. But but yeah, like I said, it's that's this was Erica's pick. So we've been asking people to suggest ones that we can talk about, and this was definitely one. It's a personal favorite of mine. It's definitely a personal favorite of hers. She loves Christopher Walken, for one, but Christopher Walken is great. He's just a terrific actor.
No argument. Who could
Yeah,
argue?
no, no, no. You'd be crazy to argue that one. But and his big scene, his big scene in the movie where he starts talking to the guy about um, the about losing, and that's a real cool scene. It's also a really heavy scene where he talks about the lion and his whole thing about the lion and the jackals, and and it's a really funny little quote about, but yeah, that he's talking about how the lion is sitting there and everybody's screwing with him and messing with him, and then he says every once in a while the lion's got to get up and show everybody who the lion is, and he tears everybody apart. But that's why he's the king of the beasts. But and it's one of those great monologues that only Christopher Walken can deliver like that. So but yeah, and that's another thing. People, if you haven't seen this movie, it's kind of a little bit of a sleeper film. I think there's probably a lot of people that don't know this movie. Did you know the movie before you had seen it?
Oh, I had no, I had never even heard of it.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's the thing. It's one of those movies. I think it slips under the rug for a lot of people. They may know the name, they might not know the name, but it's a good enough cast. I mean, the cast
I
is
gotta say, the cast is amazing.
yes, yeah. Everybody,
Like
yeah,
very impressed. I had no idea that there would be a cast like this here.
yeah. It's. I mean that I'm not even gonna. I don't know if I'll even attempt his name, but that Chaz Palminteri, he's in so many movies, a lot of gangster movies, and plays a tough guy. He is, yeah. There you go. There's a great shot of him. He is
Yep.
terrific, and anybody that sees his face there, if you don't know his name, and to tell you the truth, I actually, I never remember his name, but he is so terrific as a bad guy in this one. And the big premise with this one too, the main character, he's a pool hotshot. He wants to play in the tournaments. He really wants to win the big money in the tournaments. And this guy who has raised him like a dad, took him off the streets, took care of him. He also is holding him back because the guy is really good. He's really good at pool, and this guy
Well,
is
I mean,
tearing up.
this
Yeah,
guy is basically a pimp
yeah,
who is like using these pool players to
yeah,
make money for himself, and
yeah,
he's limiting their choices.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't even tell the kid that he's been invited to these big tournaments. And talking about my friend Erica, she plays poker, and she's really good at cards. I mean, she's really good at it. And I mean, she has never really wanted to play in the really big ones. She actually makes a lot more money doing the smaller games because she probably finds more marks. But she's really good at poker, and she wins money, and she goes to casinos and she cleans up. Um, but that's kind of what this guy, the pimp, uh, he actually Joe, he actually wants to hold this kid back so that he can pimp him out and make the money with the small hustles. And the kid wants to win big tournament money, and there is huge money in the big tournaments, and that's what the kid ultimately wanted but does not get. So
So, so I got to talk a little about this guy because,
yes,
oh my God, what an amazing actor!
yeah,
This guy moved to Hollywood trying to get roles, trying to be an actor,
yeah,
and it's tough. And he got to the point where he actually wrote his own movie. to star in.
Oh, really? I didn't know
He
that.
wrote A Bronx Tale,
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he had written it. Yeah.
which was his big breakout. And so,
Yeah.
and he's been in several roles. He's got to be a name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When the author, star, director, whatever you want to call him, when Mars Callahan
Yeah.
contacted this guy about being in the movie, he's trying to convince him to be in the movie. And this guy says, okay, look, I'll be in your movie on one condition,
Huh.
that you pay it forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you give some small guy a break.
Yeah.
And that is what I know about this guy in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, I know him from so many different roles, including, I mean, I didn't realize he wrote a Bronx Tale, though. I didn't realize he wrote it, but that's pretty amazing right there.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Like I gotta say, like cards on the table, this was not my favorite movie.
really? Okay.
But like it's an entertaining movie. You
Yeah.
could do worse.
Yeah.
Not gonna be in my top 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh
I don't know. For me, it's well, I don't even let's not I don't even want to get into that because that's a whole that's
you
almost like the thing of what's your favorite movie. That is never anyone no do not ask me that what I don't want to hear that question. What's your favorite movie? It's
in any case,
yeah,
this cast
yeah.
top freaking notch.
Oh yeah, yeah. Including, I mean, Rod Steiger's in the movie. It's and like again, Christopher Walken behind me there. He's fantastic.
Mm.
He's great in every movie he's in, but in particular, this movie here, I mean, he cleans up in this one. He's just so good.
But I
Um,
mean, like Ricky Schroeder, I hadn't
yeah,
heard of that guy in years, and he does a great job.
yeah. It's funny because like I did not realize when the first time I saw it, I didn't realize that was him. And it wasn't until later on that I saw a still shot or something, and somebody commented on that. Yeah, that was Ricky Schroeder, and it's like that's Ricky Schroeder. But and Ricky Schroeder actually, I don't know what happened to him. That's another movie that we'll have to do sometime. It's a remake of The Champ, but we'll have to do that one. The kid was so good in that. I mean, as a kid, that movie
Mhm.
tore me up at the end, the last scene, when John Voight dies, at the end of The Champ, and the kid's crying, and it's a heartrending scene, and that it's all because of Ricky Schroeder, and it's like, how can a little kid actually, act that well, but he does. So yeah, I don't understand why he didn't do a lot more. I don't know what happened, but to his career, but whatever it was, he's good in this. He's a small role, but he's very good in it. So, but yeah, um,
And you probably don't know them because you're not as into sci-fi and superhero movies as I am.
yeah,
But also Michael Rosenbaum, who
yeah, I
played the
know.
younger brother Danny.
Yes, yep, yeah.
Man, I can't believe Anson Mount was in here.
Huh. Now, yeah, I know the name, but I like offhand. If you were asking me, what I, I couldn't tell you what roles he's played. So, Anson Mount. So, yeah,
So there he is in the movie right there.
yeah. Um, and did you watch some of the outtakes at the very end? The
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, there's some funny outtakes at the end. There's a scene where, and again talking about hustles, because I say this is a comment movie. The guys behind you and his brother and everything. They're hustling. They're not only hustling pool, but they're playing all kinds of little con games. So they are con men. They're just like, the big play is pool probably, but one of the things at the end is there's an outtake scene. There's a woman that's in the movie, and you see her at the end, and they have her lift her shirt up, and these guys are all coming over, and they're all got their hands up, and so the whole thing is, are they real or not? and this one guy has set it up with the girl, and so they're all making their bets about, is it real, is it not? And at the end of it, she goes, they're real. and and everyone goes, ah, because they all thought they were, they were like perfect breasts. And so he's the one guy's collecting all the money and he's giving her take. But yeah, that's one of the outtakes at the very end. It was kind of humorous because I didn't notice it the first time I watched it. I hadn't watched right to the very end. But
So I gotta tell you, like, I found the movie to be mid. Again, you could do worse. Decent movie,
yeah,
entertaining,
yeah,
but nothing to write home about. I can see
yeah,
it being a cult classic, particularly if you play pool.
yeah,
What I find far more fascinating
yeah,
are the stories behind the movie, like the making of.
really, yeah,
There are crazy stories around it.
really. Well, tell me
Yeah,
some of them.
so
Tell
so
us some of them.
so Michael Rosenbaum,
Yes.
the guy that plays Danny, the younger brother,
Yep. Right behind my head
um,
there. Yep.
also, like, probably what he's known best for is Smallville,
Okay.
the
Yep.
the
Yep.
TV show where he played Lex Luthor,
Right.
and he does a podcast called Talkville,
Yep.
where it's him and it's Tom Welling, the guy that played Clark Kent.
Oh, okay.
And these two do a podcast where they invite different people on
Huh.
to discuss things.
Yeah.
There's an episode where they had Anson Mount on,
Huh.
and they were telling all these stories about Poolhall Junkies. And so I think it was Anson Mount. I could be wrong. I think it was Anson Mount, and he was like saying like how big a deal Christopher Walken was.
Right.
And so
A bit,
when he
very
first,
big deal.
right. And so when he saw him on set, he was like, Mr. Walken, how would you like to be called? Should I call you Mr. Walken? Should I call you Chris?
Yeah.
What's your preferred? And Christopher Walken looks at him and says, like, just call me Flash. And
Uh,
so there's been this day of filming, they're wrapping up, and they're walking away, and Anson Mount calls out to Christopher Walken. He's like, "Hey, see you later, Flash." And Christopher Walken just shoots him this like, "What the heck are you talking about?"
yeah. Yeah.
And walks away.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's that's a great story. It reminds me of that story that they used to always have that joke about Don Rickles and Frank Sinatra. And Don Rickles was a great practical joker. And he one time he was dating some girl. He was in a casino, and he comes up to Frank and he goes, "Hey Frank," he goes, "You could really do me a favor. I'm trying to really get in with this girl here." And he said it would really help me out if you'd come by the table and and just say, hey, nice to see you, Don. And just he says it would really impress the girl, and that I know Frank Sinatra. And so he does this whole thing, and Frank goes, yeah, sure, I'll come by the table. And he says Frank comes by the table and he goes, hey Don, how you doing? He tries to shake his hand, and Don Rickles goes, hey Frank, can't you see I'm busy here to and he said, like, he could just see Frank Sinatra's face go red, and he walks away from the table and he's like, ah, you son of a bitch. But yeah, so a little bit like that story. but but yeah, again, I do consider this, I consider this movie to be every bit a con man movie. I mean, this group of guys, they're all about the con and
And
hustling
I'm
people.
not saying you're wrong, but I'm calling it a sports movie
Yeah,
because like the final showdown, it's competition. It's
yeah.
these
Oh,
two
absolutely.
people who are pros at their,
Yeah,
I mean, whether you want to call pool a sport or not, I don't know, but it's a skill, it's a game.
it's a skill. It's definitely a skill.
And they
However,
both know they're good.
right. However, in order to run the hustle, the person doesn't even have to be like really super good. I mean, I'm not saying not the person trying to win the money. the main hustler has to be good, but the person that they're competing against might just think they're good,
Yeah,
and that's
and
all
they
it has to.
might, but
And
that's not. We didn't see that a lot in this movie.
no, one of the scenes that you do see it in, and that is this scene here when he's going up to his fiance girlfriend afterwards, and she's furious with him when he finally comes down, and because he plays a pool game, and it's where he meets Christopher Walken, who is actually her uncle,
Hmm.
and Christopher Walken really likes him, and they become buddies, and Christopher Walken actually becomes a very loyal buddy, and sponsors him the whole bit, but he takes her boss, and he in a pool game, and the bet is that if he wins, that he will give her a chance to actually become a partner in the law firm. And the guy at first is saying, "There's no way. That's not how you do it." And he says, "All I want is you to give her a chance. She's a bright young attorney, and she needs a chance." And so that's the bet. And he actually makes her career by giving her the
I
chance, which she wouldn't have
I
otherwise
gotta
gotten.
say that's one of my problems with this movie is that's kind of sleazy.
It's
Like
sleazy, but what they're doing is a
she's
little,
that good a lawyer,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, yes and no.
and it's got to be this backdoor. It's almost like you know the White Knight coming in to save this damsel in distress. It's a little insulting.
Well, yes and no. I do know enough about the business world and how the real world. It's a little like that scene with Rodney Dangerfield when he's in that class and he's talking about yeah, you got to make the the payoffs to all the contractors, and the guy's going, hey, and he's like, he's trying to tell him that's not how it really, and he goes, that's exactly how it works, because and it's not that he didn't say to the guy, I want you to just make her a partner. He said, I want you to give her a chance. And that is one of the problems sometimes in the business world. And I don't care. Sometimes it's because you're a minority, or
I,
sometimes you don't get the chance unless somebody gives you that foot in the door. And
I'm
that's
not
what he
saying
gave
it's
her.
not reality.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that never happens
Yeah.
or it doesn't usually happen,
Right.
but he wrote this into the story. It
Yeah.
served no real purpose other than being a bet.
Well, and also the
He could have bet a
introduction.
car and it would have held equal weight in this movie.
Well, he actually did get a car out. he got Christopher Walken's Mercedes out of it too, because he had lost the Mercedes, and he put everything up on the line against this one bet. And so when they drove off, he was like, "Yeah, I got the Mercedes." That was uh, that was Christopher Walken's. But yeah, so like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't see it as he was doing anything to like undermine her. It wasn't something, he wasn't like making her look like she couldn't do it on her own. It was more or less give her a chance. Just give
That's
her the
kind of
chance.
how I took it. I gotta say,
Yeah.
if my wife did something behind my back to get me something I thought I had achieved on my own,
Yeah.
that would be highly insulting to me.
Well, she didn't have that though, because he didn't. Uh, I don't think she was a partner even like later when they made up at the end, when she realized what he had done. She wasn't a partner then, as far as I know. She was just getting the chance to be considered as a partner. She was working her way into it. So, like I said, hey, opinions differ, and I get it. I get what you're saying.
This
And
was my other problem.
that was okay.
Okay, like we only see these guys at the very start of the movie, at the very end.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
are not really a part of the narrative.
right.
They are
Well,
used as some for this one scene. They didn't need to be there.
well, it was kind of a very funny. It was a funny scene because there's a whole thing where and that's when he's getting back at his boss, or not his boss, but his Chaz there. That I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name again, but anyway, he's Joe. That's the character. He's trying to get back at him because that's when he realizes that the guy had torn up all the invitations to tournaments, and he makes they think they're setting this guy up, the guy behind you with the silver
Mhm,
sunglasses.
mhm.
They the his sponsor thinks he's setting him up, and in the end he blows the game, and so the guy loses the money, the guy comes up to him, and he's like, and by the way, yeah, he says he's my friend. He doesn't say it like
N
that,
word.
but yes, but because there was a whole thing with that, and it was kind of a humorous thing because it looked like he was being racist, the pool player, the hustler. And, well, he wasn't. It turned out they had a whole thing going with the two of them, and these two were buddies. And so at the end of the
Are
movie,
they?
they are, no, absolutely, because his
We never see them
the
together for the
no the dude
film.
no the dude comes up to him, kind of, I think he puts his arm around him, or he puts his hand, and he goes, and by the way, he is my N word, and because he's basically saying he's my brother, he's my friend, and so he tells him like that right before they go and beat the hell out
But
of
yet we
Joe.
see him and his friends at the diner. We
Yeah,
see him as his friends playing pool. We
yeah.
do not see this guy for almost the entire
Well,
movie.
they are gang members, and that, because that is made clear. They're like real heavies. And at the end of the movie, when everything comes to a, that's when you see them come out again, because again, their protection to make sure that everybody gets out of there. And another thing that I really loved with this movie was when he does the final part of the movie where he's playing against Ricky Schroeder, the other hustler. He's wearing that hustler shirt, which is Hustler the magazine, but he's also he's all, which is what the shirt was meant to be. But it's like, yeah, that's me. I'm the hustler. And so yeah, like I said, I everything about how this movie was put together was fun for me. So I guess you could have your quibbles about, and yes, they were just in there for, the start and the end.
I
But
have
I
a
think,
feeling they were in there that like this guy wrote this and he thought these were good ideas for scenes,
yeah,
but he had no idea how to integrate them into the whole movie. And yet he just
well,
couldn't let them go.
yeah,
And I get that. I'm a writer. I understand that.
yeah, well, yeah, and that is one of the problems when you're trying to write a script and you have characters. Often scenes get cut from movies, and that's another thing we don't know, whether there were other scenes with them that wouldn't have been effective, because had they introduced them, to tell you the truth, other than the hustle at the start, and then them being his friends, so they come in at the end to like back him up so that nobody got killed. um, although you never know, Joe might have got killed at the end. But other than that, they didn't really fit with the other characters, because my understanding was that they were gang members, and so they were in a really bad pool hall playing some real tough guys. How that guy Joe actually thought they were going to get out of there alive to begin with, taking all the money, I don't know. Had they not been a friend of the main character there, had they not been his friend, they probably wouldn't have got out of there alive, because how did he expect to? He wasn't going to do it because Joe carried around a gun, but it was a 45, and that's all he was. That
Yeah, but
wasn't
no
going to
one
do
no
it.
one wants to do that in a pool hall. Like if they're hustling, if they're trying to make money,
Yeah,
violence is counter to that.
it is, but
Not saying
uh,
it doesn't happen,
oh,
but
it
you're
does in
not going to
pool
make a
halls.
lot of money.
Yeah,
You're not going to get a lot of people coming to a pool hall where people get killed.
you know that I see. That's one of the things with that kind of a game. It's a you're often probably in really bad pool halls, especially starting out. As you maybe start becoming, more known, and that's a danger right there, because that was one of the reasons why the guy was keeping him out of the big tournaments. If you become known, you can't do the hustle.
Right.
So, because everybody knows who you are and nobody wants to play you unless they've got a suicide dream. but but he wanted him to be obscure. And so he's supposed to look like that, a kid that just thinks he's good, and he's going to get himself hustled by somebody else that thinks he's good. So yeah, like I said, you're probably going to be in some dangerous places. Pool halls are kind of they're kind of like shady places, except for the really better ones. And when you start getting into the better ones, you're maybe getting into like country clubs, or you're getting into like, you know,
Oh, it depends. Like pool is big here in Portland.
yeah,
There's there are leagues. One of the bars I was regular at is actually known as one of the better
yeah,
bars for pool.
yeah,
Um, None of them are that bad.
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
if you're earning your living as a hustler, then
yeah,
yeah, maybe you're living on the edge. You might be willing to transgress a few laws.
yeah,
Uh, but again, if you're a hustler, you're going where the money is. And
yeah.
if you got any sort of money, you're probably not going any place too dangerous.
Well, again, like I said, I just think the game is. I know more. Like I played pool in Biddeford, Maine. There used to be I don't know Biddeford as much as I did when I was in my 20s, but I played pool there, and there were a couple of times when I went out the door, I was really watching my back. Um, and I know Lewiston and Portland, Maine, as opposed to Portland, Oregon, not also a place that I've been a couple of pool places that were a little bit rough, and Boston also has its share of really rough ones. So
Boston, you got me. Like I love Portland, Maine. I love
yeah,
Biddeford, Maine, and I
yeah,
have never felt unsafe.
yeah. Well, um,
Boston,
yeah, yeah, but well, believe me, you can get
totally
into
different thing.
yeah, you can get into some real trouble in Boston, but you can, and you definitely can in Lewiston, especially nowadays. Back when I was younger, I don't know how Biddeford is now, but when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, Biddeford had some rough characters. It was, like I said, I had a I had a few tense moments in Biddeford, and I was young and strong, and I could fight. And I still, there were times where I had to really, be careful because I was in some bad places. But yeah, it like I said, I just think with pool, you got to be a little bit rough to play the game. Um, it's if you're at the point where you start getting into tournaments and I mean, this is not what you want to have happen when you're leaving the pool hall. You don't want to have this guy coming out with a 45 and saying he's going to shoot you dead if you don't cough up the money. So, and that was one of the crazy scenes in this movie when those guys lost the money, and or at least the one guy lost the money, and he goes and he breaks into the pawn shop. What did he think was going to happen? He gets arrested. It was the stupidest thing, and he gets arrested. It's like, really, dude, come on. You really thought that was going to work? But yeah, it's that. So the movie is not without plot flaws, and there are moments with the writing. I totally agree with you. There are moments with the writing where it's a little weaker, um, and even some of the characters are a little bit weaker. But for the most part, I just consider this to be a really fun, cool movie about pool and
It's
us.
a fun again. I'm not saying like it's not it's not a bad movie.
No,
Like
no,
it's highly entertaining,
yeah,
but it is, I consider it to be the basic sports movie.
Yeah. Yeah. See, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if sports is the the term I would use. However, yeah, it's definitely a, I don't know. Like I said, I look at it more as a con game movie again,
Mhm, mhm.
but certainly a hustling movie. Um, but yeah, it's again, I associate this. The reason I ended up seeing this movie was because we had seen Boondock Saints,
Mhm.
and I don't know what it is about this movie because it's not the same kind of thing at all. However, there's something about the way it plays out that reminds me of Boondock Saints. And that is a movie that, and I love Boondock Saints, and I think there's a lot of people. We are definitely doing that movie.
Yeah,
um,
totally, totally.
yeah, I
Great
think
movie.
both of us love that movie. Yeah, two thumbs up, absolutely. Um, and that is a flawed movie. Some of
Well,
the
yeah,
writing, there's some weird scenes in the movie, and actually I've seen cut scenes that had they been left in the movie, there's some really good editing going on. Had they been left in the movie, it would have been a disaster. As it was, it's a really fun movie that, like, I every time I watch it, I enjoy it. And it helps to have some beer in you too, because it's a movie you kind of want to, we should be doing it for St. Patty's Day. You kind of want to have some beer and some booze and enjoy
well,
and
if you're going to go that far, I got to make some corned beef and cabbage.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's certainly Irish. Definitely appeals to my Irish roots, and but it's at the same time, it's like I said, just a fun movie. It makes you laugh. There's some crazy characters, but that's for another time because
Yep, that's for another time. We
yes,
got to save that.
yes, yeah, absolutely. No, I believe me. Like I said, I I find con game movies to be probably my, you know, that's my forte with my fun for fun movies. And there's so many good con man movies. And again, I know we differ on that because your definition's a little bit different. Again, I thought Paper Moon was definitely a con.
Oh, totally.
Any movie where I see a hustle going on, no matter how big or small, I consider that to be part of the con, however big or small. It's just part of the fun. But
This,
and yeah, go ahead.
this is how I saw the movie. And again,
Yes.
I don't want to take anything away from the movie. It's a fun movie,
Yeah. Yep.
perfectly entertaining viewing time. But I love movies, obviously.
Yeah.
I write,
Yeah. Yep.
and I also play darts.
Yeah.
And I'm not a dart
I
hustler.
have played darts, and I'm not good at it. But go ahead.
I've been in league. I've known hustlers, and just like any sport, darts has its own lingo, its own patterns. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I don't know of any dart movies. Like I know of a few pool movies. I know a ton of
Well, now we're gonna have to find a
baseball,
dart movie.
basketball,
You brought this up, and now we're gonna have to find a dart movie.
and so
I can tell you, there's one out there.
I've often thought I would love to write a screenplay for a dart movie. Like
Hey,
I've got the insight, I've got the skill. How would I do that? And I've often thought, well, why don't I analyze every other sports movie?
yeah,
Show the underdog, show the challenge. You've got
yep,
this story arc, and it's all predictable.
yeah, yeah,
And I thought, oh, I could just do that. And I have a feeling that's what this guy did. This is what
yeah,
Mars Callahan did. And not taking anything away from him because he got this done. It's why I say the story behind him getting this movie made is
right,
better than the movie.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I'm not sure it's better, but it's definitely, I'd say it's pretty equal. That's really cool.
To,
That's a
so to
great piece of
anyone
trivia.
anyone that's going to watch this movie, when this video goes up, I am going to link, I'm going to include a link to Mars Callahan interview with Kevin Pollak. And
Yeah.
it's like a 1 hour video. The stories are incredible.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely include that link, John. That's because actually, again, I hadn't known that story. It's a fascinating story. That's one of the things that I think is really fun when we do these talks is pulling out the bits of trivia.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
I mean, it's one of the things that I truly love around movies. It's why the commentaries on discs have become so popular
Yep.
because you hear stuff, the behind the scenes things that actors come out with and their stories. Those are like a huge part of why people end up love that because people love to you know tell stories around that it's like I said, like the Don Rickles story I was talking about with Frank Sinatra and the earlier one that you were talking about. It makes the movie more personal and more fun. And
Mhm.
yeah, and it's a that's a great trivia one. Yeah, definitely include the link. I'll probably
It's
explore it
funny.
myself.
A lot of people love to get lost in the movie, in the magic, and that's great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great.
And I do.
But
Yeah.
but yet I love movies. I love knowing that there are real people
Yeah.
behind it. There are
Oh, yeah.
Christopher Walken wasn't this millionaire uncle. He's an
Yeah.
actor that worked to
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
become
yeah.
that millionaire uncle for
Yeah.
this role.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's one of the reasons why I've started liking these behind the scenes stories more and more
Yeah.
is because I like knowing there's real people making this
Yeah.
magic.
Well, and they are, and that's the thing. It's every single actor has that story, and that's one of the things that we want to bring to people that are going to listen to our talks. And whether it's somebody like Humphrey Bogart, he was in the Navy and he did time in as a sailor in the Navy. They every
As was Rod Steiger there.
Yeah, yep, oh yeah, that's right,
He
that's
was at
right.
Iwo Jima.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot like Jimmy Stewart, he was an accomplished pilot. I mean, that like I said, there's so many stories about actors and what they did before they that's that's why movie magazines exist, and it's because people are fascinated, and I hope that's something that we can bring to, we do call ourselves Spoiler Alert, and we again when we talk, everybody has to know that the name should give it away, but we're gonna blow the movie for you if you haven't seen it. So anytime I usually say that at the beginning, so do you, but it's probably a good idea to um, to actually see the movie before you hear us talk about it. But
It's one of the reasons why I put the shorts out
yeah, yeah,
is because I want to let people know, like for our next video,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is what we're going to talk about.
yeah.
So hint hint, you should probably see the movie if you want to watch the video.
True, true, very, very true. Yeah, because it does. It probably I don't know. Hopefully, it's helping people get the heads up where they're yeah, fingers crossed. Where they actually decide to go out and explore a movie maybe they haven't seen, and you add another great movie to your under your belt. I consider this to be. I don't know, when you get into the thing of great or good or whatever, I consider this to be a really valued movie in my library of fun films. It's a
This
good
is a
one.
very fun movie.
It's a really good one. It's one that and I'll tell you why I think it's a really good one too. It's one that it's got rewatchability. This is a movie that if you come back to it in a year or two, it's just as much fun to rewatch it again. I probably the last time I saw the movie was probably with Erica and Will. But when I saw the movie the last time, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hadn't seen it again probably for another couple of years. And when I popped it on for this watch here, man, I enjoyed it just as much as I did the very first time I saw it, if not more. So again, rewatchability, that makes it a that makes it a good movie in my book right there. So, but yeah, I was happy to hear your take on it and how you know what you perceived
I was
of
happy to be introduced to it.
yeah, yeah. It's again, like I said, I don't know why there's nothing really the same about Boondock Saints, but for some reason it's and Boondock Saints again is what made me end up knowing about this one. It was the discussion about Boondock Saints and how much we love that one that led me into this one. So yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'm anxious to find out what your next movie is going to be for this
Oh,
coming.
I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, me too. I listen. I have so much fun, just the two of us talking about this, and it's hard because there's so many different like holidays and stuff. And there's so many different movies, and you know we were talking about this before we actually started doing the movie talk tonight. But it's hard to like. There's so many good movies that we sometimes miss a holiday and we think, oh, we should have done that for whatever. But
Well,
yeah,
again,
it's
we're going to be doing this for some time, so
yeah, yep.
if we miss a holiday here, we'll pick it up on the next
We'll
year
get it.
because
Yeah, we'll get it
there are
next
just
time.
so many movies.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're gonna be around for a while, people. So, so hopefully we are anyway. But yeah, we're having fun with this ourselves. We hope everyone else is too. So um,
But on that note,
yes, we're
we
wrapping
might
it up.
not have to call it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dom, once again, lots of fun. I hope
Lots of
everyone
fun.
enjoyed this. Dom's got the next pick, and I think he always comes up with a great one. So, Dom, I will see you, if not next week, even before, because we may be doing
Oh, we might be doing an extra
yeah. So,
just
yeah,
because we love watching movies.
exactly. Exactly. So, Dom, I will see you. I will see you soon. And everybody out there, I hope you guys all had fun with this one.
Yeah,
If you haven't
thanks
seen
for
it,
watching.
yeah,
I'll say
thank you.
like and subscribe this time.
Yes, there you go, Dom. I didn't have to say it this time. But yes, thanks everyone for watching. We really have fun bringing this to you guys. So see you guys soon. So all right, we'll wrap it up.
Bye.
Goodbye.